guys.
Hello.
Welcome to Arlene Spiritcast. If you're new to this podcast, we talk about all things related to mindfulness, magic, astrology, tarot, Reiki, meditation, anything in that realm. Today's episode is about tarot, oracle, divination tools, etc. Before we get into it, we do want to mention that we've been working on 3 projects specifically. I know we keep hinting at it, but we're actually going to have the pre-orders available for our oracle deck. Finally, after months of, talking about it and working on it, we decided we're going to start that pre-order. And then we have 2 other things that are going to be available for pre-order in the coming weeks.
We are really excited to have you guys able to get this new stuff we've been working on. The oracle cards are amazing. I can't stress that enough. Etta literally illustrated every single design on each of these cards, and we're excited to share this with you guys. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, so for the deck, we kind of just left it up to the divine, I would say, with how many cards we had, and the order of the cards, the illustrations, stuff like that. We just kind of let it play out how it played out. When we get into the divination tools, you'll know why we chose oracle over doing tarot. We might do a tarot deck one of these days, but I just felt like my art would look better with oracle right now, because I didn't want to adhere to the artwork that is associated with tarot.
Yeah.
And I am one of those people that thinks that the art is important on tarot decks, because there's symbols and meanings and things like that the artwork has in it. The symbolism in the decks are important, and I would want to honor that symbolism. And with the way my art is for this deck, I felt like doing the oracle would be a little bit better. And the whole, I think you'll feel the energy in it. I hope
you will. You feel that energy right now. Just listen to the podcast. You're going to feel the energy in these cards, and you're gonna love them.
They're really pretty.
We're excited. This has been a thing on our list for a long time, and it's exciting to actually be able to have it done. We're just excited.
Yeah, so hopefully, when this episode's up, we'll have some of the pictures on our social. Yeah. We should. And then you can pre-order those decks on our website. We'll have it linked down below as well. And, so we do also have Reiki, as usual. You go to our YouTube channel, and you can get Reiki for free. We have it on a plethora of different topics. We also have Reiki. You can sign up for our mailing list, get it every month. But we do have a weekly thing where it's $10 a session. It's $10 a week. And we send out Reiki every Sunday. So if you're interested in that, it's great. It's great. It's awesome. You get juiced up and get the positive.
Well, we believe that Reiki is for everybody, and it should be accessible to everybody. And that's why we do the things that we do. And we wanted to create things, programs, subscription services, to have that healing available and accessible, that if you need it. Yeah. So if you like us, like what we do, and want some energy, come get it.
That's just something that's a newer thing that we have, and people seem to like. And you just get it every Sunday, and it's longer. It's going to be about 30 minutes long. Yeah, the session. It's not a 10-minute long thing, and you meditate and join us for it. I think that's all I got for the Reiki thing. The book, the Reiki, obviously our candles, and there's an ad we're gonna play for that. Anything
social
else?
Media.
Follow us.
Yeah, follow us. You can follow us on Instagram at Arlene, Pinterest, Tumblr, where else? TikTok, YouTube at Arlene. We tweet a lot on Twitter. This is what you do on there. It's @pro_PGH. So come follow us and hit us up. Send us some messages. We really appreciate all the messages and emails that we get from you guys. It really makes us feel really good about everything that we do.
Yeah, thank you for all the positive words from everybody. And also, I want to take a moment to thank Karen Gary, okay? She mailed us the most beautiful art and book that she illustrated. And it's stunning. It's just awesome, and we're so thankful. So thank you so much for sending that. And we'll have pictures of it on our social media and our story for all of our other listeners to see.
Check out.
Yeah, I don't know, it's very calming. A lot of the work I felt very peaceful, some of the prints that she sent. And then the book is super cute. So thank you. We'll definitely
appreciate you, Karen Gary. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you know how much it meant to, like, get it.
It's easy to go through life to think that the stuff that you do doesn't matter or isn't reaching people, or to take things that you do for granted. And it always feels good to connect with you guys and know that what we're doing is really helping in reaching people and having a positive impact on the collective. So we're extremely grateful. Thank you.
All right, now let's get into divination.
All right.
I just want to take a quick moment to invite everyone listening to check out our shop at ettaarlene.com. If you like what we do, it is one of the most simple ways to support us. Plus, you will get some sweet, sweet handcrafted goods like our amazing 100% soy candles, which also come in our energy kits, such as Moonchild and Let That Shit Go. If you love our quotes, we have them available for print in a variety of formats. And of course, there's our book, pre-orders, and it is also the best place to go if you would like to book a Reiki session with us. All of this can be found at ettaarlene.com and linked in the show notes.
Alright, hey guys, we're back. So, today we're talking about, as I mentioned earlier, divination. And what is that? So this is like, these are like tools that you use to communicate with the divine, basically. And in particular, we're going to talk about cards. And I'm using a broad term for that because we're going to go over a couple different types of cards. And technically, we can call this cartomancy. And cartomancy is exactly what it is. It's divination with cards. And people who read cards, you know, you might call it a card reader, a tarot reader, or a cartomancer, which I think I'm going to start calling myself because I think that sounds way cooler than tarot reader.
A cartomancer, like a necromancer.
Yeah.
You want to do the gothic twist to it.
Yeah. I'm a cartomancer. A cartomancer illustrates oracle cards. But anyways, now some people will say cartomancy is specifically for divination with playing cards. So I do want to mention that. So you have, you know, one group of people who, when they hear cartomancy, they think just the broad term of divination using cards, and that incorporates tarot, Lenormand, you know, playing cards, and, you know, the like. And then you have other people who associate that term with just playing cards. So it's really up to you. I use it as a broad term because they're all cards. But if you don't, that's fine.
Oh, that's another thing. You have that beautiful deck that our besties gave you.
Yeah.
We should post that on social media.
We should. We should post that. I believe that's a Lenormand. It's okay, we'll tell the story about this. Good. So our best friend gave me a card deck, and they found it in an antique shop. And then it's a super old deck, and it has like the whole psychic pamphlet and everything. It's really pretty. We should probably post that. I'm not gonna lie, when I first got it, I was like, oh, what's gonna be attached to this?
Yes, that's a rational thought. Yeah. It's a rational thought.
Yeah, but nothing happened, so
it's all good.
And it's a really cool deck. So I guess we'll start with tarot. So tarot, everybody's familiar with, I'm assuming, who's listening to this. It's really gained a lot of popularity today. And you know, a lot of people just grab some cards and go with it. And tarot is pretty cool because the way you do the meanings for them, like they have like their set meanings, but you can deviate a little bit from that, if that makes sense. Like you kind of like there's like multiple meanings for the cards is what I'm trying to say. And I believe that a lot of divination tools, the goal is to help build your psychic development. So there are a lot of readers who eventually get to a point where they're just looking at the card and they go. It's not necessarily that they're memorizing what it is. They're like using their psychic abilities, basically. Mm-hmm. So I always thought that tarot is a great tool for spiritual development. And it is. So, you know, it was first kind of documented around the 15th century, but it's debated, how, like, some people believe that it goes back to, like, ancient Egypt, and they talk about its links to like the Kabbalah, I Ching, Tantra. So they link it to a lot of other like older spiritual practices, and that's up to you to decide. I mean, this isn't like a tarot history, like the breakdown of it. We're just talking about the different types of cards that you can do divination with. We'll probably have an episode with tarot specifically talking about the history of it because it's pretty juicy. Yeah. And basically, throughout esoteric circles, we start to attribute all of these more spiritual meanings to it. So some people think they're just like kind of like playing cards, where other people think that there's like a heavier spiritual component to the cards. They've evolved since they were first kind of in use to what we kind of have today. So we have all these different spiritual movements that have gone on like forever. So you think like Aleister Crowley and those types of that time period and everything. So we're having it layered with how tarot is being used and the meanings with the cards and stuff like that. But generally it's like the same. So early on, they were, like I mentioned earlier, like games, and you would like see them throughout Europe. Italy is notable for that, but they all had like different names. So each, like various European countries had like different techniques with tarot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is we have all of these different types of tarot. So Tarot de Marseille is an example of like a French tarot, tarot deck. You have a deck like that.
I do. I also, when I think of tarot, I always think of like the Rider-Waite or the Crawley style decks. I also have, what is that? You guys are going to laugh, but I have a Miss Cleo deck I got off of Amazon when I first started to try to learn tarot. And I tell you what, you should go get it. The energy of that deck is amazing. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, so like, we were talking about, there's the Tarocco I don't know how to say this, Bolognese. It omits the number of the cards. So then there's like 62 cards, and you have like Swiss 1 JJ tarot. There's like a whole bunch of different types of like tarot, but all, these were older. These are like how it like spread out throughout Europe and different takes on it and everything. And then eventually it evolved into like what we have today with different like metaphysical practitioners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are 78 cards to a deck, 22 major archetypes, major cycles, that's major arcana. So what those 22 are, from how I learn, is that they represent large cycles in your life. And so like if you get that, that means that you might be on that larger cycle. And then we're going to have the 4 suites, so, swords, pentacles, cups, and wands. Yeah. And those also can have cycles, but those don't last as long. Those are like shorter cycles, and those are supportive energies. And, arcana is derived from arcanum, which is like the plural, and it's from arcanus, which means secret knowledge and mysteries. And it's a term that entered the English language around the Dark Ages. So it referred to mysteries of like the physical and spiritual like realms that needed studying. So it wasn't exclusively tarot that arcana would be used for. For example, an alchemist might often be said to be pursuing the arcana of nature. So if you're an alchemist, I think you should take that on. You're pursuing... I'm not an alchemist. I pursue the arcana of nature. I think that'd be cool. Any alchemists out there listening? Yeah. I do it. Yeah, so anyways, whenever it comes to tarot, I really like to use tarot in the spiritual sense. Some people are like believe it's more like you're unconscious, that type of thing. They leave out like the idea that it might be spirit communication, but essentially that's like, from what I believe, that's what it is. That being said, you always want to make sure that you're properly protected when you do any type of divination. And then another thing is take it a step further, clarify who you're talking to. Because if you're just going in, which is, sure, go for it. You're protected. You want to, like, go in and see what comes up. That's fine.
You want to fuck around and find out.
Yeah. But, like, usually, you want to, like, ask that you're getting guidance from, like, for the highest good, of all involved. And maybe you could even, like, get it in even tighter. Like, maybe you're specifically asking for, like, guidance from a specific, like, god, goddess, angel, anything like that. That way, you're not having, like, weird messages come through. And then if you don't properly protect, that's whenever you get the horror stories of people getting crazy tarot readings that, like, completely fuck up their lives because they're getting messages that are very unsettling and not for them, not to scare anybody out there. And then if you are getting messages from like a tarot reader and it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate. That's it. Leave it at that. Don't take it to heart. And also, if it starts to feel low vibe, like it's starting to make you really upset, probably want to get out of there because it might not be something.
It might not be for you.
Yeah. And then, what was the other disclaimer for tarot? I had it tip of my tongue. This is with all divination.
All divination. Even meditation, it's good to protect your energy before you go in. Any of that. Because you don't know what's going to come through.
Yeah.
It's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, and back to, like, the meaning of the tarot cards and stuff. Like I was saying, there's, like, a spiritual component, like, spiritual development, stuff like that. And whenever people are reading it, they have the messages, like each set, 78 cards each have a meaning, but there's multiple meanings for them. And there's like reversals and stuff like that. And there's like a little bit of a wiggle room because you're interpreting what meaning this card is based off of the cards that are around it and stuff like that. Now we get into the Lenormand or Lenormand, however you pronounce it. In French, I believe it's Lenormand.
Maybe that's
what they said. I don't know.
I know. It probably sounded way more chic.
I don't speak French.
You're learning. We're learning.
So with that, you have the 2 decks Petite, and that's 36, and then Grande, which is 56, and the most popular one in use today is the 36. So I believe I'd have to look at that deck that our friend gave us, but I believe it's a 56 card one.
It is.
Now, just like tarot and other divination tools, this was considered to be a parlor game that later went on to have an esoteric meaning. But, this is kind of debatable because the imagery that's on the cards is what is commonly used whenever, so like people do coffee readings, like coffee grind readings, and there's like images I guess you look for in it, and they use similar images for these Lenormand cards or Lenormand, however you pronounce it. So I feel like it started out the gate having an esoteric meaning because it was based off of these coffee grind readings. But some people played it for fun. So they're saying it's been around for about 200 years. It was popular in France and Germany, and it was actually first called the Game of Hope. And later it was changed to the Lenormand after Madame Lenormand, who was a renowned psychic around that time period. And after she would use those cards for her, to do her readings and stuff. And then after she passed away, they renamed the deck after her. So it doesn't necessarily sound like a parlor game to me.
No. That's something we should try to get somebody on here who knows a lot about like the Victorian mysticism. See if we can get somebody on there who knows a lot about that. Cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So with this divination tool, the cards, the meanings are very like defined. It's not as like flowy the way tarot is. It is what it is. Like whatever the card says is what it means. There's none of the
interpretation.
Yeah, there's none of that. It's like this is what that means. So you're like memorizing the meanings. This is from what I understand. Now everybody can read their cards differently. So there might be somebody who reads Lenormand and they're like, no, I read it like this, which is fine because we're all different. We're all experiencing that type of communication differently. I'm just saying from what I understand.
Yeah, this is
it has a more strict meaning. They're more strict. So, it is what it is, which is kind of nice. Like if you're really good at like memorizing things, you could just be like, yeah, this is what it is.
And man, I need to hop on. I do have a Lenormand deck. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
I need to use that one more and memorize things. I have a phenomenal memory.
Yeah. So, and then you can get a smaller deck. So 36 is like the most popular. So maybe why people like it, because it is easier to like get a grip on maybe. And then, then you have the playing cards. And I first started delving into cartomancy with, playing cards. And that's another thing that was used in the parlors. And it peaked in popularity around the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. And it was the same thing. They were using the cards for divination. And it was actually referred to as the Wheel of Fortune. instead of you're reading playing cards, you're doing the Wheel of Fortune. So you can see the ties, like how these are all connected. Like there's a Wheel of Fortune in tarot.
Yeah. You
know, all of that. The interesting thing about the playing cards is that I read a story about how people during like the whole witch hunt and all that stuff, and whenever it was like looked down upon and terrifying to be a witch, they would use playing cards. That way people wouldn't know they were actually doing magic.
Yes. That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's like a story that I heard. So maybe that's why all these cards are also called parlor games. Like, yes, they were played in the parlor, but maybe they would just go, oh, it's just a parlor game we're playing. That way you wouldn't be called a witch or accused of doing magic or anything like that.
To avoid getting
killed.
To avoid persecution.
Yeah. And then the last type of like card divination tool that's popular are oracle cards. And so oracle cards are the most flexible out of all of these because they're created based off of the artist and the writer. And it's a system that is uniquely that they've created. And they don't hold any bounds to like number of cards. So one thing is a lot of decks have been having 44 cards, but that's not the standard for Oracle. You can have a deck that's like 20, or you can have a deck that's like 82 or 120. It doesn't matter with Oracle, and you can have them be as silly like, oh, this is Andy Warhol Oracle, or you could have them be really like intense, like this is the Archangel Oracle deck, and we're gonna get you communicating with specific archangels. And so that's what's cool about Oracle, is that it can be really like refined. So if you're looking for guidance with a specific type of energy, you can find a deck most likely on that. You have a really cool dragon deck.
I love my dragon deck. Diane Cooper.
Yeah.
It's her deck. I am obsessed with it. I have been, but I just have a connection to the dragons, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of cool. We have a lot of cool decks. I feel like it's easy to collect them once you get into it.
Yeah, and especially like Oracle, because you're like, oh, I want Starseed Oracle. I want to talk to aliens.
Well, I want angel answers. Let me see what I need to do. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, cool. Like you can get straight to the point without having to do. Well, you still want to do the interpretations of the cards. I think that's a good practice everybody should do. So like you said, the art has meaning behind it. The imagery has meaning behind it. And the way you see things on that card might not be the way someone else might see it. So yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you should research the artist too. So like, back at tarot, we were talking about tarot, there is symbolism that is kind of standard. And it's not like, oh,
like the lovers
just has the two. Yeah, so like you have the core imagery, but then there's stuff in the back. Like there's like
the pomegranate on the
there's like different things that have meaning to them. So like a person who really is hardcore studying tarot is gonna know all of these little esoteric symbols, and that's why I like those decks that have the traditional illustrations on them. Sure, I like them when they're zhuzhed up and they look like pretty. Like when
they're aesthetic.
Yeah, like my one deck, that Italian deck I
love that deck.
Yeah, so it's like he illustrated. It's really beautiful, but he still maintains all of those little like illustrations and stuff like that have symbolism to them. But there's nothing wrong with a minimalist deck. A minimalist deck is really good for somebody who's really good with tarot. They're really in touch. Their psychic stuff is through the roof.
Tapped in, turned on.
Yes, and they're just going.
When you are learning, it's always good to start with like the Rider-Waite or Crawley, and stick with that for a while until you get it down.
Yeah,
but it's whatever you want to do.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the other thing. Like this is all
your craft. This is your tools. These are just tools. This is your connection to whatever you need it for.
Yeah, because I agree. I think at the end of the day, it's connecting you to the divine, so it doesn't really matter all like that. As long as you're, obviously having respect and honoring tradition and everything. And then that's why, we're talking about Oracle. It gets, it's a little bit looser. There's no boundaries with Oracle. And, if research your deck, like there might be things that are illustrated that have really like good like meaning behind them, and it might not be listed, but you might notice it. It might you'll be like, oh, they put this here, I wonder what this means, or you'll like see the connection. And then obviously there's gonna be ones that are just pretty, which is fine too. I mean, our deck is a minimalist deck, but it's a oracle deck. That's how my art is. And you'll fill it out and you'll get the interpretations as they come to you. We have a book, by the way. There's a book that goes with it. But anyways, like, you're going to use it and you're going to tap in and you're going to feel whatever psychic energy you feel when you're using the deck. And that's how, how you got to do it. That's how it is,
Our deck's great because the imagery, it invokes feeling. Art, it's beautiful. Art invokes feelings and emotions, and you're going to really be able to connect with that with each card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it doesn't matter with our deck. Like, it doesn't matter what level you think you're at or whatever it is. You just get it and use it. And that's with all deck. That's how you learn anyways. Like, you learn by actually holding a card deck and stuff like that. I'm always marveled at the people who have like a bunch of oracle decks and they know the messages off the back of their hand. But I think those are, like you were saying, people who have really strengthened their intuition and their psychic like guidance. So they're just knowing it, like that information just coming without them having to memorize like what's on the deck.
Yeah, because the more you use it, the more you use these divination tools, the more connected you are and the more tapped in you are to your psychic abilities. We all have psychic abilities. We all do. We all have our clairs and we have our strengths and our weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And these are all tools to help you strengthen that. Mm-hmm. Period. Doesn't matter what divination tool you decide to go with. You can do shufflemancy. It's another thing.
Yeah.
I love it. That's one thing I love to do all the time. Mm-hmm. I do it all the time, every day.
Mm-hmm. It's whenever you shuffle your music and then what comes to you has a message in the music, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of different. So we're gonna, we'll talk about, bibliomancy and all that stuff too later. People use pendulums.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of
I haven't
used
mine in forever.
And with the oracle cards, tarot cards, all of these cards, you can use. You don't have to be exclusive to one, so you can like do a reading with an oracle deck and a tarot deck.
Most people do.
So you can like layer them up, and then you can also incorporate astrology, numerology, all of that stuff to your readings, and that's what ends up making them all unique, because you might be an astrologer who also reads tarot, so you're able to take in that knowledge you have of astrology and combine it with the tarot. Or if you're a numerologist, these cards are numbered. You'll be able to use the meanings with the numbers and like how like the spreads, like the numbers in the spread, and add an extra layer. So it's like, really cool how people can connect with all of these divination tools and learn and go from there. But if you are learning, take it easy on yourself. There's no rush, and there's a lot of tarot readers and stuff out there, because I feel like I'm still learning. Everybody's still learning whenever it comes to all of the spiritual stuff. You're constantly like
I don't think it ever stops.
Yeah, and get a deck. And that was the other thing with the decks too. Another cool thing about them is how so you could have 2 tarot decks, but they could feel completely different.
Oh yeah.
And they, one of the things that I did was I went, before I even looked at like the book, I went through each card and I like wrote down what I thought it meant and what I got from that card. Then I went through and compared it to what the writer of the book said was like how they felt the meanings were conveyed. That's something else that you can do. I did that with most of the decks that I have, even the oracle decks. Like, write down what I'm getting from it, and then
it's good because you can also see your progress.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Yeah. So that's a good tip people should do. I think that's a great tip.
Yeah, I forget who told me to do that, but yeah, I did that first go, and then I noticed too, like, I'd have 2 tarot decks. They're both Rider Waite, but like they're a little bit different with the interpretation, like what the authors of the book, their interpretations are for it. Get like a different energy. Like my Italian deck is more like brutally honest, kind of straight to the point, and then I have another deck that's just like, oh yeah, like very flowery and very like, yeah, it'll be fine. Like, I don't know, it's
energy behind it.
Yeah, the energy is a little bit different. And then I had, my first deck was a impressionist deck. It had exactly what it sounds like, impressionist art on it. So yeah, that was fun. I got to learn art and do it, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, that's how I went about it, and you can learn it how you want to learn it.
This is your craft.
Get a good teacher, learn on your own, whatever. Just don't give up and
stay safe.
Yeah, always protect, don't give up, and it's not a rush.
No, you're on your own timeline. Yeah. Learn at your own pace, baby.
Like I said, we're all constantly learning. I'm constantly learning. I'm still
It never stops. Yeah. Even when I try to stop, it never stops. There's always something else.
Yeah. But that's just a quick skim of all of the, the most popular card divination tools. Now, there might be others out there. And We'll probably break down at least tarot, do like a nice history of it. And it's interesting, like I said, it's debated. Some people think it was just a parlor game, and you have other people who think that it has deeper roots that go way, way, way far back. Mm-hmm. And then we can talk about like how the imagery evolved and stuff too, because like your Tarot de Marseille, the imagery is a little bit different, the stuff that's on it. So you might have, and then what is it? They, instead of pentacles, it has coins.
Coins, yeah,
right.
But that's what my the Miss Cleo deck also does the coins, as well.
Yeah, but I think the Crawley deck does coins too, doesn't it?
I'm pretty sure Crawley does too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
have fun, enjoy, and
embrace the magic of this universe.
Yeah, have
fun with life. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have another episode about traditional tarot
specifically,
history,
yeah,
and that's gonna be awesome. And then we're gonna talk about other divinations tools, as well. So look out for those.
Yeah.